Tom, every once in a while, a player comes around whose value transcends his numbers. Manti Te'o, 92 tackles and 6 interceptions, in my opinion, should win the Heisman Trophy.
Te'o reads it instantly, gets some penetration. Inside there was penetration as well, and 4th and short is stopped.
And a loss. Here's Miller. Intercepted. Picked off in the secondary easily by Manti Te'o, the All-American linebacker who dropped in coverage, and Miller's intercepted.
The interception is second of the season. I really have no idea
For Andrew Maxwell trying to get something going, and now they bring the jet sweep. But not much doing there, and that is what Garrett King installed for $10 million. They're helping all our officials. Play action, Maxwell rolls out to the left, drops it in underneath the Larry Cable. He's short of line. Up with Bell, and he is stumped in the backfield by Manti Te'o, the All-American.
Notre Dame's defensive line, right before the ball snapped, they moved with the shift by the tight end. That movement right there, because it's so late, can affect the offensive line and their communication. The guard came around, 60-60, has no one to pick up, and it makes it easy. Tail slips right behind him. Confusion because of movement.
He's going to throw it right here. He's under pressure. Does just get it off to Lippin again, and 6. Intercepted. He's going to throw out for his end zone too, and it's Sims again.
They get one way. Manti Te'o tripped up at the 35-yard line after picking off.
Of course, Manti Te'o, number 5 in the middle of the screen. Look how quickly he goes downhill, gets over top of the pile, and nearly 1,300 yards as a senior.
Trying to get pressure. And making drop it down to Clay. Te'o was the defender on the running back as a receiver. That was extremely well defended. Te'o's on the quarterback. Sacks him on the 25-yard line. The senior from Hawaii. On first down, goes straight back. Te'o grabbed it. Te'o may have got that interception. It's been
It was one of the most dramatic and emotional stories in recent sports history. Manti Te'o, the star linebacker for Notre Dame, enduring the death of both his grandmother and then his girlfriend, Lene Kakua, within just 6 hours.
You take the love of my life. Last thing she said to me was, I love you.
Te'o then went on to lead his team to a series of epic victories. Propelled by his success and his story, he was a finalist for the Heisman Trophy. All along, he spoke freely about his twin tragedies.
Older brother called me, and he was just crying and crying and crying, and that's when I kind of knew, but I was still in denial.
But tonight, word that girlfriend, Lene Kakua, never existed at all. The story, first reported on the sports news website Deadspin, says she was a hoax, and that the picture we all saw was of another woman who's very much alive and says she doesn't know Te'o at all. Late today, Notre Dame released a statement that coaches were informed by Te'o and his parents that the star had been the victim of what appears to be a hoax. The college says someone using the fictitious name Lene Kakua apparently ingratiated herself with Manti and then conspired with others to lead him to believe she had tragically died of leukemia.
Headline, Heartbreaking Hoax Screams Sympathy for Te'o. ABC further describes the incident as, and I quote, one of the most dramatic and emotional stories in recent sports history. A clear hyperbole used to draw sympathy to Te'o. ABC mentions his epic victories on the field, his losses off the field, and the resulting Heisman Trophy campaign in order to portray Teo as a tragic hero. ABC clearly has a bias in favor of Teo, which is also sympathetic towards him.
Jeremy, Jeremy, how would you describe Teo's demeanor during your line of questioning?
I could say that in the entire 2.5 hours that we spoke, he was completely composed, self-assured. He betrayed no nervousness. He had maybe full command of the story, suggests that it's a story rather than the truth, but he had a full command of everything that I posed. I'd like to think the questioning was complete, and he seemed very comfortable in the chair.
When did Teo say he first realized the woman he considered to be his girlfriend never actually existed?
He was not fully convinced that Lene Kekua did not exist until 2 days ago, when he heard from Renaya Tuiasosopo, who has been reportedly, who is reported to be the person behind this hoax. Manti Teo told me that Tuiasosopo called him 2 days ago and told him that he was behind the hoax. He apologized. He showed me Twitter messages, apparently from Tuiasosopo, apologizing for perpetrating this hoax on him, embarrassing him, etc.
By claiming Teo's demeanor to be composed and self-assured, ESPN is making Teo out to be emotionally mature and stable through this period of uncertainty, where most people wouldn't be as stable. ESPN aired this segment live as breaking news for 11.5 minutes, indicating the seriousness of the story. The use of the term perpetrating makes Teo Sosopo out to be a criminal, hinting at a sympathetic attitude to Teo and a hostile bias to Teo Sosopo. The sympathetic bias to Teo is also made obvious by ESPN honoring Teo's request of an off-camera interview.
Was this draining to you sometimes?
It was emotionally, physically, mentally, everything.
Did you ever, like, wake up and forget to use Lene's voice?
No.
You'd think before you spoke?
I'm not trying to be funny, but that's kind of a rookie mistake. When you have kind of been able to mastermind all of this and create this whole, not just Lene, but her whole family and this whole reality, and make it seem as real as possible, that's a mistake that, I mean, no, I never made that mistake.
Were you in love with him?
I mean, yeah, if I had pretty much had this escape of Lene from everything else, and this was where, you know, my heart had pretty much invested not just time, but all of my energy went into this. As twisted and as confusing as it may be, yeah, I mean, I cared for this person. I did all that I could to help this person become a better person, even though I wasn't getting nothing out of it. You know, the truth of it is that happened. I grew feelings, I grew emotions that I sooner or later I couldn't control anymore, and it just lingered on. And then when I tried to end things, you know, I tried every other way to end this. I tried this lie and this lie and this lie, but nothing would work.
With questions like, was it strange to you sometimes, and were you in love with him, the Dr. Phil show makes Teo Sosopo out to be flat out weird. Answers including, and I quote, "I put all of my energy into this," and, end of quote, and I quote, "The truth of it is that happened. I grew feelings, I grew emotions, that sooner or later I couldn't control anymore," end of quote. Do not exactly help Teo Sosopo either. There is a clear bias against Tia Sosapo, making him out to be crazy and obsessive.
Rush Limbaugh uses voice fluctuation to pull his audience. American culture dictates that winning is all important. The Notre Dame linebacker had told his team the truth about his girlfriend. Would Rush have attacked him for distracting the team and causing the loss? Deadspin attacks Manti Te'o with no evidence of his wrongdoing, and NPR spreads this rumor to knock down the already fallen hero. Hoaxer was in love with Manti Te'o? This title pulls responsibility away from the prankster antagonist, who is directly the cause of not only the traumatic loss of Manti's girlfriend, but also the pain of being bullied by the media.
The New York Times, Washington Post, and the Daily News have really taken sides with Manti Te'o through the hoax of his so-called girlfriend. Throughout the newspaper articles, they are incorporating what he says and how he feels about the situation. This shows their sympathy towards Te'o, because if they had not shown his point of view, it would not have humanized him so much. In the New York Times, they say, he said he did not make up the story of a girlfriend who had died to bolster his chances of winning the Heisman Trophy. Just the fact that they put that in their article puts closure to any doubts Americans had about the hoax. In the Washington Post, they say, he had spoken movingly of all-night calls to her hospital room in which the phone was left next to her. In the Daily News, they included the quote from him, "I wasn't faking it," which he added after a long pause, "I wasn't part of this." This helped add closure to the reader that he had nothing to do with it and was unaware of the hoax up until Tia Sosapo took the hoax so far as to where he had to explain it to.
People magazine interview his ex-girlfriend, 21-year-old, describes her ex as a gentle, kind family man who genuinely loved Lonnie, and she wanted to know more about her, the long distance, and she knew that he definitely loved her. He said he introduced her to his family. They did the traditional dances, family comes first for him. So when he did that, it really showed her his character, and that he really loved her. They've been supporting each other, and she says that he's doing a lot better now. Sports Illustrated Jeremy Schaap reports, Te'o told his story. I found him very believable. But there's little doubt at this point that he believed it to almost a frightening degree. He also reports that he shared a spiritual connection to Lonnie Kekua, a devoted Mormon that will also exchange scripture readings with each other. It's sickening on why the media would destroy this young man's life and future. He has a very hopeful future with the San Diego Chargers. He was just drafted, and during the draft, they mentioned this hoax. He won't be able to go anywhere without mentioning it or being recognized as the guy with the fake girlfriend.